8.2 The necessity of death. One of the utopian concepts of some naive writers involves the banishment of death. For human-scale stories, this may involve living thousands of years. Ignoring the fact that a being living thousands or even millions of years is still mortal, this will not work, competitively speaking. If suddenly a member was able to live significantly longer than its peers, and this change helped it live better, for example, by being able to use its knowledge for a longer period of time, then this survival advantage would quickly spread across the population in a few generations. Thus, relative longevity is a transient incident. This would quickly reach equilibrium across the member population. This does not take away from the pain of those members who were denied this advantage and must either themselves die or see their descendants lose out. This has happened countless times across the entire span of life and evolution on Earth. An entity is a representation of a certain strategy, as we have mentioned. The strategy may be written down in its chemistry, or its genetic code, or its standard operating manuals. However, an entity is also an amalgamation of entities at the earlier or lower level. A human is an amalgamation of cells. Thus, each of the lower level entities is also a representation of a certain strategy. Carry this back to the lower levels, and it is clear that a given entity is a representation of a particular strategy at every level of organization, at its own level and below. At the same time, there are free entities at every other level. Humans exist in the same environment where there are bacteria, viruses, and unaffiliated chemical compounds. Each of the entities at the different levels is the manifestation of a particular strategy to deal with survival in the specific physical, chemical, biological, and organizational environment it finds itself in. As the environment changes, the specific strategy represented in the entity becomes less and less appropriate. Competitive forces will continue to drive the evolution of all entities at all lower levels. But the organization itself prevents the evolution of entities in it at a particular level. Thus, a cell in a human body continues with most of its genetic code from the birth of the human, while the bacteria and the viruses around it continue to evolve and try to find a way to break down its defenses. Even with clever methods of protection, like a learning immune system, there is an increasing gap between the abilities of the entities in an organization and the entities in the environment around it. Death itself is an equilibrium between the costs of maintaining an outdated organization and the benefits of the organization. There is nothing natural about a natural lifespan. It can and does change with new technology. Even with such changes, the lifespan of an organization is finite.